On today's episode of First Issue Ever, we answer the question that no one has ever asked: who is the best actor to ever play Captain America? Stick around, soldier!
First issue ever!
Yeah, you get in Team America. You invade that country. You kick out its indigenous peoples. Yeah, that's right. Build your factories to make money for your politicians. Yeah, that's what we're all about. Oh, hello, and welcome back to another episode of First Issue Ever, the only show that cares about the only number that matters in the world of comics, and that is the number 1. My name is Steve, and together you and I are the axe that's chopping through the cherry tree of lies in the world of comics. Speaking of axes, I'd like to ask you a question. Can you name one art form that was actually created here in the good old United States of America? Go ahead, I'll give you a moment. And don't say jazz. Jazz isn't what I'm looking for. It's comics, of course. Comic books were created right here in the good old US of A. Speaking of the US of A, it's the final installment of Captain America month. Hopefully you checked out our other videos. If you haven't, I'll sit here and wait. All right, I assumed you've watched them all. Fantastic. Man, am I glad that it's the end. Quite frankly, I'm getting tired of seeing the stars and the bars and the red and the white and the blue. I'm thinking of something maybe just red and white, maybe next time. Maybe something with a maple leaf on it? Yeah. For some reason, that's feeling right these days. Anyway, we're here to answer a very important question that no one has ever asked before. You saw our video about who the best Punisher actor is, right? Well, are you in for a treat? Because today, we're gonna find out who the best Captain America actor is. Or should I say, best Cap ever. Yeah, you didn't know there was some other Caps besides Chris Evans, did you? Why, what? You've never heard of Dick Purcell? How about Reb Brown? And Matt Salinger? If you haven't, there's a good reason why. And we're gonna take a look at all of them. And then at the end, just like in the Punisher video, I'm gonna render my verdict on who the best Captain America actor is in the entire world. And as always, it's not just my opinion, it's fact. So, starting off, we have Dick Purcell. I'm not gonna go into too much detail here, but this was a serial all the way back in the 1940s. I mean, this doesn't really count, but it's fun to go back and see how far Captain America has really come. I mean, for some reason, he's a district attorney who carries around a gun. He puts on the Captain America mask, and it's like he has an alternate identity that's not even Steve Rogers. If you think about it, this started way at the very beginning, before Marvel was even a twinkle in Stan Lee's eye. Who knows? Stan Lee might not have even been alive back then. No, he was. He's always been alive and always will be. You should check it out because it's funny. I found it on YouTube. I'll put the link in the description. He picks up a phone and it's like all the old-timey talk like, "This is Captain America. Blah, 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 blah. Are you on the trolley, buddy? Come on, you gotta get me a Zeppelin over here fast." And, just wacky old-timey talk like that. So again, this isn't exactly part of the video, but you might want to check it out. Moving on to the 1979 Captain America starring Reb Brown as Captain America. Now, oh man, was this a hard one to get through. Apparently this was a TV movie, and you've probably seen clips of it. There's a video going around on the internet called the 1979 Avengers, and it shows a very cheesy looking Captain America being shot out of what apparently looks like a rape van. He's driving out of the rape van in his motorcycle, and sure enough, that is our Captain America here in the 1979 Captain America, played by Reb Brown. So before we talk about Rebby, can I call him Rebby? I'm gonna call him Rebby. Before we talk about Reb Brown, let's talk about the movie. Okay, as I said, it was a TV movie. So you know what that means. Low budgets. And basically the 75% of this film is nothing but helicopter footage and motorcycle riding footage. But interesting things is how they sort of warped or rewrote the origin of Captain America. This Captain America, is the son of a scientist who was working for the government and working on what's normally known as the super soldier serum, is now working on something called flag, which, I don't know, for some reason can only be used by Captain America and his dad. I don't know, he used his own adrenal gland, blah, 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 blah. They throw a bunch of pseudoscience in there to make it make sense. And it's weird. I mean, they actually spent some time on it to where it does make sense that only Steve Rogers can use this flag formula or whatever. But it's weird. It starts out with Steve Rogers, before he becomes Captain America, driving his van along the Pacific Coast Highway. This also takes place in California instead of New York, which everyone knows that Captain America is from New York, just like most Marvel superheroes, even though Captain America is technically a timely superhero, because they were timely before they went to Marvel. If you don't know that, now you know. Whatever. These guys try to run him off the road. They destroy Captain America's van. Luckily, he was driving around with a motorcycle in the back, so he's driving around the motorcycle now. And the scientist tells Captain America, Steve Rogers, that his dad was a secret scientist or whatever for the army or military. And then basically Captain America, he's already done his tour of duty. He just wants to relax and kick back and drive his van around the country and see what happens. And of course, that's not the American way. After you serve a tour of duty, you have to get out there and start being a superhero, at least according to this movie. Stuff happens. More of Captain America's vehicles get destroyed. He actually gets hurt, and so the scientist takes it upon himself to inject Captain America with this flag serum, or whatever you want to call it. So, complete reimagining of the origin of Captain America. There's no man out of time here. He wasn't in World War II. I mean, this is 1979, so I guess you could say maybe he was in the Vietnam War. They weren't really clear on it. But anyway, let's talk about this movie and Red Brown as an actor. He is absolutely terrible in this film. He almost has Dolph Lundgren disease, where, I mean, at least, you know, the Punisher can be quiet and introspective. Captain America cannot be that way. He has to have like strength and conviction behind him. And let me tell you, Red Brown does not have any of those qualities. He's so laid back and sort of talks like this and doesn't really emote too much, and you know, but hey, they hired him because he looks good with his shirt off. I don't know. I assume that's why. I mean, I guess I'll give him that. The dude's in shape, especially for 1979. Other dishonorable mentions is the fact that, I wasn't expecting to see him fight the way Chris Evans does, but, it's just like that 1970s fighting, like maybe from an episode of The Hulk or something, where, people just sort of get pushed and no real punches are thrown. But what this basically is it's a mix between Evel Knievel and the $6 Million Man. Whenever Captain America does anything superheroic, like jumping off of a 2-story building in reverse film speed, or whatever you want to call it, they do the noises and stuff like that, and that's kind of funny. There's basically 45 minutes of him riding his newly souped up motorcycle, which also a big dishonorable mention is the plexiglass shield that you can see through. And the reason why you can see through it is because he puts it in the front of his motorcycle and it acts as a windshield. So this is a Captain America that's basically designed around a motorcycle, basically. So I guess that's what they were trying to cash in on the time. I mean, the stunts all around, even the motorcycle riding, is pretty lackluster. And just the scenes that aren't action, just regular talk, is also boring because all of the actors, except for maybe the scientists, completely lack any kind of anything. They were just, maybe they were just there for a paycheck or what, I don't know. You know, it was a different time, different era. They were probably scrambling to fill 90 minutes for a movie of the week, so they decided to go with Captain America. The best part of this movie, if you decide to watch it, is the soundtrack. It is like funkified awesome. Typical like 70s, almost blaxploitation sounding. Like it is great. If you watch this, just make sure you have a lot of alcohol and some friends to make fun of it, and you're not watching it by yourself like I was, because I got bored and really I watched my phone for the most of it. That was the 1979 Captain America starring Red Brown. On to the 1990 Captain America starring Matt Salinger. Now I remember renting this movie probably back in the early 90s. I remember watching it when I was like, I don't know, maybe even 8 or something, and liking it, but watching it again, it's pretty hard to get through. The movie opens with the creation of the Red Skull, and just off the bat, watching this compared to the Chris Evans one, it's always so different to watch movies, especially action movies that were made and before all the CGI and stuff like that happened, because this feels like a real movie. When they open with the Red Skull, it's actually a very young Red Skull before he becomes the Red Skull. Like, it's actually a very horrific event where the Nazis come in and they basically kill his family right in front of him. And that's right, people get shot with real guns in this. And there's actually Nazis compared to the Chris Evans one, where they're basically just not even really mentioned. It's all Hydra or whatever, but we'll get to that later. I mean, and that's the one thing that I like about this movie, is that it at least feels like it takes place in a real world, but that also works against it. This Captain America takes place in California. I guess it's cheaper just, you know, to walk outside and film than to, you know, go all the way to New York or somewhere else. They don't really do too much with young, you know, weak and sickly Steve Rogers, just like with the Red Brown one, but you know, that origin was completely different. The typical Captain America origin is here. There are Nazis here, and for the most part, that's good, because that's the way it starts out gritty and well filmed, and that's good. The Red Skull actually looks decent at first, but then I guess they lost some money or something somewhere along the line, because you see the actor who plays him, but he has plastic surgery. You know, that is when Captain America goes to present, which was the 90s at the time, and then the action scenes, of course, are pretty bad. I mean, they do, you know, the guns and stuff, they do that well because it's actual, you know, squibs and blanks and things like that, and not ridiculous lasers. Let's just get to Captain America himself, Matt Salinger. He looks like a Steve Rogers, and just the way he plays Captain America, kind of goofy, kind of a gee shucks golly. I don't know, not someone who's all that impressive. And there's a few weird scenes where, like, all right, I'll just tell you, someone's giving Cap a ride. Cap decides he wants to ditch this person. He tells him he's gonna be sick. So the person pulls over. He walks out of the car, pretends to, you know, throw up. The person comes over to check on them, and he runs back to the car and drives off without them. That happens twice. That's not very superheroic behavior. I certainly wouldn't see Captain America doing that. Another thing that I like what they do is the suit is actually pretty good for the most part. I mean, it is the 1960s Captain America, like all the way down to the boots. Like, I mean, it's pretty awesome, and they kind of come up with a reason for it. They say it's like flame proof. They actually, you know, the headpiece, like the cowl and stuff like that, it looks better than Chris Evans's did in the Avengers. I don't know why they can't get that right. I mean, it looks a little bit better in Civil War. They kind of do the helmet thing, which is funny because in the 1979 Captain America, he wears a helmet instead of the, you know, the thing with the wings. And that's another problem with Matt Salinger's Captain America suit, is that it's a little too accurate. They have those huge, wacky Jack Kirby wings, and I never really understood why that was there. Even when I first started reading Cap as a young lad, I was like, why does he have freaking wings on his head? Same with Namor the Submariner. Why are there freaking wings on his feet? Maybe I should research that. If you know, comment down below. By the time they get to the third act, this film has completely fallen apart. A lot of the action scenes and stuff are very close, quick cuts. You never get a wide shot to see where the actors are in relation to one another. A lot of the dialogue is really hackneyed, which is okay for a superhero film. I mean, again, it was the 90s, so you can't really judge this that harshly. It's definitely better than the 79 Reb Brown one. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend watching it once at least. Again, just so you can see how far Cap has come. You and your friends would probably get a good laugh out of this one. It's not as boring as the Reb Brown one, but again, it's just sort of kind of like Dolph Lundgren's Punisher. Just sort of, all right, that was a movie. Oh, the Shield. The Shield is pretty poorly done. Like, he at least throws it and does things with it, but of course it doesn't come back, and it looks like it's made out of plastic. It really looks like they went down to a party city and bought themselves a Captain America, kid's shield. Like, come on, man, this is a Hollywood movie. You gotta work a little harder than that. Anyway, that's really all there is to say about the 1990 Captain America starring Matt Salinger. On to Captain America, the First Avenger, starring Chris Evans, directed by Joe Johnston. Now, I remember when this came out in the theater, I was psyched because I like Captain America, and I was like, this is gonna be it. Finally gonna get to see Cap on the big screen, done the way he was supposed to. I had only really seen the Matt Salinger version of Captain America before, so hopefully this was gonna be a chance to see Cap done right. And was he done right? Sort of. I mean, I guess this is a version, a direction that they went in, but I didn't exactly agree with a lot of the choices that they made. I'm sure you've seen it. If you haven't, you should probably go watch it and then come back. I mean, they went super cheesy and super cartoony. I don't know why or whose idea it was to go that way. There are basically no Nazis in this. And what does every Captain America fan want to see? They want to see Captain America beating up Nazis. And that's why the Matt Salinger one sort of works for me. And this, they're Hydra agents. Like, I don't know why Marvel wanted to whitewash the Nazis out of World War II, but I mean, they were there. Maybe they don't want to scare kids or something, or maybe they thought Germans wouldn't want to pay to see the movie if it had Nazis in it or something. I mean, there's a lot of movies about World War II that come out every year. Like, why did this one have to be so super cheesy and over the top? It reminded me a lot of Power Rangers. Like, the guys that Captain America fights, the Hydra agents, they walk around with these ridiculous like lasers, and you never see their faces because, again, I guess they don't want anyone to feel anything towards the guy who Captain America is about to hit in the face with a shield, and or, there's that scene, thug or henchman, whatever you want to call him, falls off and gets cut up in the propeller of the missile plane. Again, I guess that was for the kids, but the 1990s Matt Salinger one, that's PG-13. I think it might have actually been PG, and people got shot with real guns. That's another thing. The allies, or the good guys in the Chris Evans Captain America, they get to have regular, historically accurate guns, where the bad guys, the Hydra people, they have these ridiculous lasers. And I mean, I get it, there's supposed to be a science wing of Hydra, or I don't know. It just seems like they went out of their way to make things as cartoony as possible for no reason. Another thing, they had to shoehorn in Peggy Carter. Okay for her to be there, but as, working over there as like a drill sergeant or something, I mean, that doesn't seem very historically accurate. I know, again, you can say comic book movie, but I mean, it just takes me out of it when you see a hot British lady hanging out with all these World War II soldiers. Something that doesn't make any sense. They could have come up with another reason for her to hang around other than that. It was World War 2, for goodness sakes. I mean, that's just not how it was, or so the history books have told me. Are you telling me that the history books that I've been looking at in high school, are you telling me they're lies? Huh, Marvel? Huh? What do I like about Captain America Chris Evans? The action, even though it's very CGI'd, stylized, cartoon, however you want to say it, is great. I mean, it's weird that they sort of reworked it to where Steve Rogers was looking up to Bucky. And then it was weird watching this movie. I realized that throughout 3 Cap movies, all of Cap's motivation has something to do with Bucky. Ooh, I gotta go save Bucky. Bucky fell down a well. I have to go save Bucky. Bucky this, Bucky that. I don't know why Marvel is so obsessed with Cap and Bucky. I wish they could find something else for him to do. I mean, I don't know, maybe they're gonna start working on a relationship between Cap and Sharon Carter in the future. That would be great because it doesn't always have to be Cap and Bucky. Okay, so let's talk about Chris Evans as Captain America. Now, he's been Captain America through a lot of films now. Let's see here. Captain America the Avenger, the other 2 Captain Americas, Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. That's 5 movies where he's been playing Captain America. And he does a good job. I mean, he's definitely in shape. Watching the Captain America action with the shield and have it come back, I mean, it is amazing. I think Captain America, the Winter Soldier, is the best made Marvel movie so far. As far as tone and the action, I mean, it was amazing. And I would have liked to have watched that one instead of Captain America, the First Avenger. But, you know, I wanted to stick with the firsts here because this is first issue ever and that's what we do. But as far as Chris Evans' performance as Captain America, I never really feel like he's 100% the Cap from the comics. It's not like with Thomas Jane as the Punisher, where I really felt like that was the Punisher come to life. He's more of just, you know, a straightforward soldier. You never really get to hear him give those speeches telling you to do the right thing and things like that. He gets it a little bit here and there. As far as the films go, I never really think they explore kind of the darker side of being Captain America. And it's not like dark like Batman or, you know, Tony Stark to where, you know, he's a drunk or anything like that. It's just the fact that Cap is a man at a time. Most of his friends are dead and he's been fighting in these horrible wars and witnessing atrocities for, you know, most of his life. And, you know, Ed Brubaker explores that in that Captain America #1, which I talked about before, but the films never explore that. And I don't think Disney, Marvel, is going to be exploring that anytime soon. All right, it's time to run to the verdict of who is the best Cap ever. And of course, there's Dick Purcell, Reb Brown, Matt Salinger, and Chris Evans. And the winner is Chris Evans. Even though I feel that he doesn't exactly 100% embody Cap from the comics, he does a great job. I think pretty much everyone knew the answer to this at the beginning of this video, and I hope you stuck around for the answer in the end. I don't know, who knows? Maybe a few films down the road, Chris Evans will be that Cap that's, you know, straight out of the comics and giving people these great lectures on how to be a good American and stuff like that, but only time will tell. Okay, so thank you so much for watching Best Cap Ever. My name is Steve, and we will see you next week.